boys and girls, we're going to start Module 4, Wit and Wisdom. And it starts a little different than our other modules. Usually with our other modules, we start with a book and we stay with that book for about 7 lessons. But today we're going to start with this one, and it'll just be our introductory book. It won't be the first book that we use for several lessons. It's just our introductory book. So it's called Glass Slipper, Gold Sandal. And I want you to look at the inside cover. In this inside cover, you see a map of the world. And I want you to think about all the books we've read so far this year and how our books have taken us to different parts in the world. So I'm hoping right now you're thinking of some of those books, and you're thinking of books like My Librarian is a Camel or The Biblioburro, and those were in the areas of Colombia and South America. And if you think of Tomas and the Library Lady, he lived in Texas, and then he moved to Iowa. I believe it was Iowa, yeah, instead of Idaho. And then probably you remember Me, Jane. I hope you remember that book. Do you remember where that one was? Jane Goodall went to Africa to study chimpanzees in Me, Jane. Also, the book we just finished, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, that boy also lived in Africa. So we've already been around the world with some of the books we've done this year, but we're going to go around the world in Module 4. We're going to be going to all of these places in this next module. So we have books from Appalachia, Mexico, West Indies, Ireland, Germany, Poland, Russia, France, Iraq, Iran, India, China, Korea, Japan, Laos, Indonesia, and Zimbabwe. Pretty cool. Glass Slipper, Gold Sandal. I'm going to read it to you, and then you'll get to respond what you notice and what you wonder on a Google slide in Google Classroom. Before I read it to you though, I just kind of want to go through some of these pictures like we do when we're at school. How we'll just look at the illustrations and think, what do you notice? Right off the bat, I bet some of you are noticing all of the colors. And I hope you're noticing the different types of illustrations we have in this book. Are you wondering what this book's about? All right, let's start at the beginning. Glass Slipper, Gold Sandal. I'm going to read the author's note at the beginning of the book first. A chameleon changes color to match its surroundings. Stories do the same. The earliest recorded Cinderella tale is thought to date from 19th century China. Traveling across the globe, it changed its clothes, but not its essence. Rivalry, injustice, and the dream of wrongs righted are universal, no matter our garments. When the story reached France, it acquired the glass slippers and coachmen, mice familiar to Western readers. More than 1,000 other versions are known. I pictured a book that would let us listen in on the tale tellers we don't often hear, who breathed this story to life around fires of peat and pinyon pine, swinging in hammocks and snuggling under deerskins. I'm especially indebted to Judy Sierra's fine collection, Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a wealthy merchant whose wife had died. They had one daughter, gentle-eyed and good-hearted. Down the road lived a widow with 2 daughters. The woman gave the girl treats when she passed. She gave her pan dulce to eat, sugar cane to chew. The girl knew that her father was lonely. "You should marry the widow," she told him. "She's nice to me." The father had his doubts, but the girl kept asking. And how long can the father say no to his daughter? And so he and the widow were married. In the corner, I hope you can see the country's name, Mexico. Korea. But no sooner had the stepmother moved in that she began to order the girl about. All day long she set to weeding the rice fields and cooking and carrying. The woman gave the girl's room to her own lazy daughters. At night, the girl had nowhere else to sleep, but curled for warmth among the ashes on the hearth. Her stepmother allowed her only a few scraps of food. Her stomach howled. Then the girl recalled how she begged her father to marry. "I picked up the scorpion with my own hand," she told herself. She vowed not to complain to her father and upset him. Russia, Iran, India, Ireland. But when the girl was out tending the cattle, the beast heard her crying for hunger. "Don't weep," said one of the cows, and the animal poured honey for her from its horn. And a fairy gave it figs and apricots, and Godfather Snake gave her rice. Once she was eating well and proper, the girl bloomed into a right rare beauty. The stepmother couldn't fathom it, and meanwhile her own sour-faced daughters would curdle the milk if they looked at it twice. One day it was announced far and wide that the great king was in search of a queen. All the unmarried women dressed in their finest robes and set off for the palace, Zimbabwe. To make sure the girl couldn't go, the stepmother threw an apron full of lentils into the ashes and ordered her to pick them all out. "And scour all the kitchen pots too," she hollered. As soon as the stepmother left her daughters, the girl burst into tears. Outside, the sparrows heard her. In they flew and pecked the lentils from the ashes. Then a witch woman came in and spoke a spell, and up jumped the pots and scoured themselves. Germany, Appalachia, Germany. The girl was free to go, but she had nothing to wear except rags. Then she looked in her mother's sewing basket. Then she reached into the hole into the birch tree. Then a crocodile swam up to the surface, and in its mouth was a sarong made of gold. Laos, Russia, Indonesia. China, a cloak sewn of kingfisher feathers. In Japan, a kimono as red as a sunset. In France, and on the girl's feet appeared a pair of glass slippers. In India, diamond anklets. Iraq, sandals of gold. "Walk to the ball?" said the girl's auntie. "Never." She picked a big round breadfruit from a tree and tapped it 3 times with her wand. Quick as a blink of a firefly, that breadfruit changed itself into a coach. When she made her entrance, so great was her beauty that the musicians stopped playing. No one, not even her stepmother, knew who that beautiful stranger was. Indonesia. At night, the girl danced with the headsman's son until the first rooster crowed. Then she remembered she had to leave at once. She leaped onto her mare's golden saddle. "Who are you?" called the prince. The girl had no time for words and charged down the lane. The prince sprinted beside her, got a hand on her shoe, and the dainty thing pulled off in his fingers as she galloped away. Ireland. The king declared he would marry the golden shoe's owner. He ordered the women of the court to try it on, but no one could squeeze inside it. And so he went searching for its owner up and down mountains, China, and across deserts, Iraq, until he came to the stepmother's house. When she saw him approach, she grabbed her stepdaughter, wrapped her in a mat, and hid her. the shoe will fit one of mine, fine favored girls, said the woman. Grunting and sweating, her older daughter tried to wrestle the shoe on, but couldn't. Neither could the younger. But then a rooster began to crow. They put the ugly one on show and hid the beauty down below. The girl was brought forward. Don't waste your time with that one, said the stepmother. But the magistrate looked into the girl's eyes, took the straw sandal in his hand, and slipped it onto her foot with ease. She and the great king were married at the palace, where the guests feasted on mangoes and melons, rice seasoned with almonds, beef stew and lamb stew, anise cookies and custards. Such a wedding it was, and such an adoring couple, and such a wondrous turn of events. That people today are still telling the story.